Alright, welcome to today's severe weather video. Today we're going to be talking about the severe weather risk for today, April 27th, 2026. And actually, the video that I tried to make yesterday actually got completely changed. So I'm doing this last minute because a lot of things has changed. First thing first, as you can see, we do have a system that is currently moving through southern Illinois. That's actually going to move its way out of the way. This is a system from last night, from Kansas, coming out from Kansas, moving into the area. So this will bring some hail, strong winds, and also a chance for a spin-up tornado within these early on this morning. So definitely just keep an eye out for that. But the main thing that we're actually watching out for is the day one outlook now. And look at this. I'm actually going to do is I'm going to kill the radar here for a second just so we can get an idea here. And as you can see, we do now have a moderate risk, which is adding up the severe weather threat even more. And mainly this is adding up to what I was seeing yesterday with the model runs. A lot of the strong side of these storms were going to be over St. Louis, even the STP, all the ingredients, everything like that, they stayed down south. I don't know why they put the enhanced risk all the way up near Galena, Aurora, and all that stuff, but now we're dropped down to a slight risk. So for the Chicagoland area, you guys are all underneath a slight risk, whereas everybody else is pretty much under either enhanced risk or a moderate risk. So moderate risk be including the areas of St. Louis, St. Charles, St. Peters, Florissant, and Chesterfield, Missouri. Everybody else, so enhanced risk, Memphis, Little Rock, Springfield, Missouri, Springfield, Illinois, and Evansville, Illinois. And so, yeah. And also including Urbana, U of I. You guys are also underneath the gun for an enhanced risk. Tornado risk has also shifted south, which is actually good news for me that I don't have to worry about because I'm closing today. Again, I will not be live today, so go check out Ryan Hall, y'all. He'll be going live throughout the severe weather day today and covering all a bunch of stuff. But it is a CIG-2 day, and it's also a higher end of a CIG-2 day. It is a 15%, which is actually the first time I'm actually seeing it over here in this area. But yeah, so St. Louis, you're infected by the CIG-2, so St. Louis, St. Charles, St. Peters, Florissant, and Chesterfield, Missouri, which is pretty much all encompassing the moderate risk, which goes toe-to-toe with that. Everybody else, you're under a CIG-1, so that includes Urbana underneath the hatched 10% CIG-1. And also, you guys are also kind of in between that CIG-1, CIG-2, so just keep that in mind that you will still probably have a chance of seeing EF3 or higher, but for the most part, everybody else around the area is pretty much seeing an EF2 plus or greater. But for Aurora, Chicago, you guys are underneath the 5%, and everybody else is underneath a 2% in terms of tornadoes today. Wind-wise, it's going to be a massive wind threat. So everybody's going to be included in on this, even including the Chicagoland area. We're going to be seeing winds upwards of plus the 65 knots or closer to chances of seeing winds up to 60, maybe even 70 mile per hour at a time. But yeah, it's going to be a really windy day. 45% risk pretty much for all of Urbana, St. Louis, Farmington, all the way to Blanksville, Arkansas. It's going to be really windy in terms of these storms that do come through, and they might come through really quickly. I haven't seen the speeds on these storms yet, but it's going to be an all-day event because in fact that there's still storms running through St. Louis right now as we speak. As of recording this at 9 a.m., it's going to be a really windy day. That is for sure. Okay, hail-wise, we're not going to really witness much the hail up in the Chicagoland area. We're going to be looking at a 5%, 10% pretty much all around from Davenport all the way down to pretty much Arkansas. But for the most part, CIG-1's going to pretty much include, let's see here, Memphis, St. Louis, Shreveport, Little Rock, and Springfield. Those are all the locations that are going to be affected by that. And then the 30% is going to be underneath Memphis, St. Louis, Little Rock, Springfield, and Springfield, Missouri. Those are all going to be the target area. Urbana, you guys are going to be underneath the 15%, especially CIG-1. And yeah, that's really what we're looking at. So this is a massive change in terms of what we're actually seeing in terms of severe weather today. But this is what's going to happen here. Also, for people who are in Radar Mega, please fix this bug whenever you switch through models. That's just the weirdest thing ever. Um, yeah, so right now we're currently experiencing these storms. We're going to watch through the 12Z together and kind of get an idea what we're looking at today. This is going to be an unedited one take video, just because I do have stuff to get to today. So yeah, so let's just scrub this forward. We got the storms moving in 10 a.m. still moving through the area. They're actually going to be a lot more advanced by this time frame, so it'll probably be out of the hair in Springfield by this time, if not already. And then Urbana, you're going to start seeing those front lines come through. Now, watch the break on the left here. There's going to be an opening. This gives us the chance to see that severe weather threat that we've been talking about all day yesterday. And boom, right there, you're already seeing a lot of the stuff that even some of the people on Twitter, or I'm sorry, X, were already indicating some of these supercells that are already popping off west of St. Louis. And that's where that moderate risk comes into play. And yep, right here. So this back end is going to start spinning up, and we might actually end up seeing some supercells that form along this dry line here, and we might have a good chance to see tornadoes. But yeah, but for the most part, Aurora is going to pretty much see this around noon, and then it's going to kind of clear out of the way. We don't expect to see a pop-up storm after this, just because the way how everything sets up. There might be a chance for things to pop off west afterwards, but for the most part, a lot of the threat's going to be pretty much early on in the day, and it's going to be an all-day event. So it's really something to keep in mindful of. There is going to be embedded supercells that are going to spin up and cause tornadoes to spawn, but for the most part, what I'm really seeing is a really straight line MCS system that's coming through, and that's going to really cause some problems, possibly some localized flooding for sure. But yeah, for the most part, we're really watching for a higher end tornado risk over St. Louis area, and for the most part, a overall widespread wind threat that's coming through as this thing kind of bows out and kind of causes some damage. Urbana, you're probably going to get the strongest with hail and some winds here, as this will probably be a bowing echo of a storm front. It might be end up becoming a shelf cloud, so you might end up seeing this kind of like torrential effect come through. I wouldn't say necessarily a torrential, but this is a good chance of where we will probably see winds up there gusting up to 65 miles per hour at times. So just keep in mindful of that as we kind of see this hail, we see this unfold. And then we're going to look over to the Cape. I think the Cape Valley is going to be the strongest over near St. Louis. And yep, as I kind of predicted, yeah, the Cape Valley is going to scream up into the 4,000, 5,000 joules per kilogram around this area. And as long as these storms capitalize on it, there's nothing that's going to stop these storms from really capitalizing on anything. So just something to keep in mind as we kind of move on throughout the day today. It's going to feel really moist, even up here in Illinois, in the Chicagoland area. It's going to feel that that summer-like humidity that's going to come through and scream through. And then obviously there'll be cool air coming on from the backside, so it'll be cooler in the afternoon for the most part. Significant tornado parameters also up there as we have numbers even screaming way up there. I'm actually going to put a inspection tool on this up to 8 at times, so just keep that in mind. Anything south of Urbana or I-72, I don't think we're going to really see much tornado activity, but again, cannot rule out a tornado too within this area. But yeah, these numbers are really screaming over here, and that's something that we're really watching out for. So just keep in mind around the St. Louis, Farmington area, we're going to see that severe weather today really unfold. And yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure. Yeah, this is really what I was seeing all yesterday with these data runs, and the fact that they didn't update it last night was interesting until this morning. But yeah, the data that comes out this morning is a lot more concerning in terms of the supercells that will pop up here ahead of the 10 o'clock hour here. Look how much the supercell composite and all that stuff. So Yeah, so more of the story today is really just make sure you guys have a weather plan ready to go. Make sure you know where to go in the case of a tornado, most interior spot of your house, lowest part of the floor. If you're in an apartment, lowest floor, first level, and the most interior part of the apartment complex, especially if you're up on the sixth floor, get all the way down to the bottom floor. If you're a storm chaser, I definitely would stay around near the St. Louis area today, and anything around Springfield if you're going to go chasing, just because there is a chance that you could see some embedded tornadoes and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's really going to be a midday event, not so much of a evening threat for the most part. So yeah, so I'm going to play this forward. But yeah, but if you guys want to see more weather coverage or weather discussion videos, let me know. Leave a comment down below. Hit the notification bell. Let me know when I go live or when I post a video. Hit that like button as well. Helps the YouTube algorithm find this channel and also shows your support with what I do here. And yeah, and also stay tuned to your local National Weather Service. They're going to be the ones that are going to be the most accurate in terms of reporting these storms, and also the storm chasers that are on the ground for iTruth. So yeah, but other than that, I will see you guys all in the next YouTube video. Bye bye.